Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, leave it in the ring.
What's going on, folks? Hope everybody's doing good, especially during this weather, man. This rain. I got my fence fell over, a tree fell over. I got all kinds of shit happening to me over here in my casa right now. Hey, but I got a special guest with me, Jose Benavidez Sr., the man that brought up his sons to be fighters. They're right now in training camp at Big Bear. First off, let me say what's up to Jose. How you doing, brother? You there, Jose? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, brother? I can see you. Are you there, bro? Can you hear me? Well, I know he's in Big Bear. Just to let people know that he's having some. I know he had told me before he got on. He's like, I got some issues with the internet because they are in training camp. They are getting ready for their next fight. He'll be trying to call back in right now. I saw that he dropped off. Here he is again. So let's see if we can get. Jose, are you there?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, brother. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Here I'm having a little bit of problems with the reception, but we're back. We're back.
No worries.
We're ready for March 13th. Very excited, brother.
Right on. I'm happy that you guys got another fight there, man. How's your son doing? First off, David. How's he feeling, and has he been anxious to get back in there?
He's really motivated. He just had a little boy. His name is Anthony. Super motivated, and we're here, trying to make sacrifices. We've been in Big Bear for almost a month and a half. We got another month to go, and super excited. He's a monster, man. He's making a lot of sacrifices, and somebody's gonna have to pay for that.
Let me ask you, and before everybody's going to be jumping in the chat. I know they have questions to ask you as well, but let me ask you this. Let's start off from the beginning, brother. What was the reason you decided to get the boys, Jose, and David, and everybody else into boxing? What was that? What was the reason why you decided to go that route?
Well, the reason is because I grew up without parents. I didn't have a mother when I was growing up, or a father. They abandoned me when I was like maybe 3, 4 years old, and I didn't want to do that with them. So I wanted to spend time with them, and I wanted to put them in sports and try to do anything that they were good at. It didn't matter what it was. I just want to be part of it and support and motivate them. And boxing is what they chose, and that's why we're doing in boxing. But that's how it came. I just wanted to spend time with them, and I thank God for every day that I spend with them and being with them every day.
When did you realize that the boys had talent? Like when did it hit you where you were like, hey man, I got something going here?
Like I always tell people, once you work on something, you put your heart into it. You never know. You just work. But when you love something, you start seeing little changes. And I never really thought that they would be competing. I just wanted to show them how to fight in case if something happened to me, and they would learn how to defend themselves. But they started winning tournaments and doing really good in boxing, and until they were world champions. I mean, to be honest, it didn't hit me until they got their first belt. I'm like, oh shit,
Right.
they're good.
Yeah. So Junior gets signed really early on in his career, and you had made the decision to go to California, to Hollywood, to start training with Freddie Roach. Let me ask you: was the whole experience all good, or were there some decisions that you wish you would have made in the early on of the career of your son Jose?
You know what, man? In life, you go through a lot. It's not easy doing what I do, especially training your own sons, man. It's a hard business. I always said, if I can find a trainer better than me, I would definitely let him go. If I find a better manager than me, I will let him go,
Right.
But I learned a lot. I dedicated myself. I left my job, man, to be real close to them and suffering. And, I'm not going to lie, bro. I didn't even have money to eat sometimes, but I wanted to be part of that,
Right.
and thank God, little by little, they started doing good, but it's super hard, man. It, it's, man, it's unbelievable. The things so many times I wanted to quit and I want to go back and get a normal job.
Right.
But that's life, in life, you got to make a lot of sacrifices, and sometimes there's no way back. You got to continue and finish what you started. So
So was
it,
it
it,
your
it,
decision at that time with Jose to go to wild card, or no?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Was it your decision in the beginning to go to the wild card for Jose Jr. or no? It was
Yes,
kind of out of your
it
hands.
was, like
Uh-huh.
I always was looking for more experience and to learn more and to spar other better guys. And it's just an adventure that we just had to go to, But yeah, it's me. I've been all over everywhere, just to make sure that they're getting the right sparring, that they're getting all that tools that they need in order for them to get better, So, um, yeah, it's been my decision to do all these things, the camps, being with here. We're on a big bear with David Sanchez, going to Robert Garcia's Boston Gym, to be with Freddie Rose, with the Diaz brothers, and all that. I believe that that's a big thing that everybody that is thinking about getting involved with their kids and being involved in boxing, they should go and see what other guys are doing and try to get the best sparring that they can.
Now, David has always kind of been a guy that you've circuit throughout California. I mean, he's sparred like Cali Pavlik. One of our listeners, Jesus M, is asking how did the sparring with Espinino and Adams go at the at Garcia's gym? How'd that go?
Oh man, it was fantastic. It was Robert has nothing but good fighters there. Fighters that want to be champions, that work really hard. I'm very satisfied with what I've seen. David's in a different level, and he went 12 rounds with all the fighters down there. It was unbelievable, man. David does things that I don't even think that I never seen, So he impresses me every day. That's why I tell people right now, David's a dangerous fighter. He's very dedicated, and he just, man, he's in another world, He's thank God that he went through what he's been going through in the past. That made him very mature and very hungry. And man, he's unbelievable right now. He's doing so many things, man. 12 rounds like nothing, bro.
You know, I want to ask you a tough question. Being that you're his father, but at the same time you're, his trainer slash his manager, right? Um, when a fighter does something or gets popped or doesn't make weight, does it necessarily fall on the fighter, or do you think that you should take some blame as well in participating in that?
I try to do whatever I can. It's very difficult to train your own son.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, you're always there. You always tell them, hey, go to sleep early. Hey, do this, do that. It
Right.
gets to a point where you get tired, bro. And, you got to learn when to back up too, because I am very strict, but sometimes I go overboard. And sometimes, you got to let them make their own mistakes, and that's how they learn, and that's what I believe that happened here. Sometimes those mistakes, but at the end of the day, those are his mistakes, that I try not
Right.
to avoid. But he decides to do other things, other ways. We did not have a camp last time. We did it in Seattle. And that's the reason why we're here now. He's understanding, and I feel more connected to him. And bro, thank God that things happen, because it brings us more together. Because a lot of times, parents, I mean, the fighter and the father, they separated because of the pressure,
Right.
But we were really close to do that, but now we're tighter than ever, Thank God, we went through that, and now, I learned how to kind of change myself in a way also to relax a little bit more and don't want it more than the fighter sometimes,
Right. Let me
So,
ask you, what was the, because the biggest criticism right now from fight fans, or like anytime we're doing a show and your son's name is brought up, the rant is like, that guy couldn't make weight. He needs to make weight. What was the conversation with your son? Because obviously he ended up losing out a lot because of that weight issue.
yeah, of course, like I said, in life, he's only 24 years old, man. He's he's a two-time world champion. The money's not the same, So
Right.
there are a lot of distractions, bro. A lot of distractions. You know, from having nothing. We're poor, bro. I mean, like I
Right.
told you before, we didn't have money to eat when we were training. We were
Right.
traveling. Now you have all this money. Now Lamborghinis, you know, now Mercedes, and you can buy whatever you want now. You
Right.
know,
Yeah. Jeez.
you know, everything it changes everything, you know.
Right.
So those are the distractions sometimes that, I mean, it can hurt a fighter and it could destroy their career, you know. Thank God that happened to us, but now he's back in track and learn from all his mistakes. And you know, we missed weight because of the discipline, you know, no
Right.
other choice. But if he couldn't do 168, I would not fight him at 168. I'm not going to put his life in danger if he can't do 168 no more, you know. We'll go to
Right.
175, not a problem, you know. But now, you know, he's on weight right now. He looks fucking ripped, you know. He looks good, man. So I knew what was the problem, discipline, you know. So now we're back again, and yeah, it's gonna take a little bit of time to show the people and to, you know, show, you know.
Right.
Right now our team is come at 167. If he could do 167, you know, we're back, you know. So
Right.
that's the plan. When we put in 167, and not a problem, not 168. You know, we got to prove the world that we another pound down. You know, I don't see a problem. You know.
So what right now? I mean, what's the weight is he at right now? Like, where's he at right now? Do you know?
Right now he's on the 182s, 83s right now. So we're there, man. We're like, man, we got a whole month to go, you know.
Right.
So he's looking good, you know. So you guys can have a little peek on it. Right now, it's training hard. So, you know, he's right there, you know. He's right there on weight, and very excited, man. We're here, you know, and we're just sacrificing, working hard to give you guys good fights.
Let me ask you about the elephant in the room, which is Caleb Plant. You know, I know you guys have had beef like 2 years, and it seemed to have started in that gym that day when Jose confronted him, and then Caleb Plant tried to hit him. I don't know if he did connect with them, but David obviously grabbed Jose. Um, what are your guys' thoughts that he's saying he needs to get his mandatories out of the way so he could unify with Canelo Alvarez? Is that a sign that he's saying he doesn't want to fight with you guys?
You know, this is so hopefully all the people are watching, you know, man, we really want to get that fight. We already have problems. So we that's the fight we've been trying to make for almost 2 3 years, man. All the excuses that he says, oh, he's not a champ, oh, he's not on my level, oh, fuck the belt, man. Let's make that fight. Let's make that fight. Let's not fight for your belt. Let's just make that fight. That's the fight that people want to see. I think he's a really good fighter. I think he's a very dangerous fighter. I think that's a tough fight, you know. But in order to make history, in order to go to the next level, we need to fight those guys, you know. We need to, you know. I mean, I'm not. I mean, I'm happy that we're fighting Ronald Ellis, but really, he's not at that level. You know, to be honest, you know, I
Right.
think David's supposed to look good. He's supposed to take him out and look impressive in order to go keep progressing. You know, but we need the Charlos. We want the Charlos. We want the Caleb Plants. You know, uh, in order to get to Canelo. You know, we don't care about the money. We don't care about titles. You know, we care about making history, man. We care about leaving a legacy in boxing. In order to do that, you got to fight fighters that are up there, you know, A level fighters, you know.
Right. Right.
So that's the one that we want to fight. We never dodge nobody. We want to fight all of them. And I mean, because we are ready. And if I didn't believe that, what are we doing in this game? You know, we like I said, money does not matter. Money is not everything in life. History, legacy is what we're looking for. You know.
Absolutely. Speaking about Jamar Charlo, he had said in an interview just a while back that moving up at 168, your son's name was brought up, and he said he could knock him out. That, early or late, it doesn't matter. It's going to happen. It will eventually happen. He will knock him out. What are your thoughts about that, man?
Oh man, I love that fight. That's another dangerous fight that we're willing to take, man. That will be a pay-per-view fight, like I said, because it's so big that people want to see that fight. Man, you know, we're excited. I already called our promoter, and we talked about, hey, let's make this fight happen. Do everything you can. He wants to fight. We want to fight. It should be an easy fight to make. He's a gangster, you know. He doesn't run from nobody either. So he's a talented fighter, a really good fighter, you know, up there that, you know, I think we can beat him. I think it's not going to be easy, but those are the fights that people want to see, man, and we want to bring those fights to the people. So we already reached out to our promoter, and hopefully he's serious about what he's saying, and we can make that fight. I mean, to me, that's bigger than Caleb Plant. That's bigger than any other fight, I think. And then whoever does good is going to go to the next level and keep fighting those other fighters, bro. Whoever, out of this winners will beat anybody, So then we can show a little bit more of what we have,
Jose, obviously, I think me and you are like around the same age, So we obviously have been following the sport for a very long time. And I've always spoke about people about, like, if they just fought, if they just decided to fight, whoever was available, the big money would eventually come. So it sounds to me you guys don't need a title. You don't need none of this. If Charlo decides to jump up, you guys are willing to take this fight immediately, right?
Let me tell you something. What I tell people, right? Dude, don't think about the money. Money will come. Eventually money will come. They're focused on fighting the good people, After that, everything's going to fall in your feet, man. But don't think about the money, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to show the people what we have. We got to beat this good fighter, and then after that, money will come. But we're not focused on money. We're focused, like I said, legacy. Legacy is what we want. We want to live, break records. We want to make history. We want to go to the Hall of Fame. In order to do that, money's not going to take you there. Fighting good people is going to take you there, So I think that's what we're trying to look for. Belts and all that, Like I said, Caleb Plant can keep his belt. We'll fight him, just to fight him because we want to kick his ass. That's the only thing,
Right.
Imagine that once we beat Caleb Plant, then, we go to Charlo, and then probably we could go to Canelo. But I'm not even thinking about fighting Canelo right now, Canelo will not fight David, He wants to fight guys that are kind of like having their last fight, and I don't blame him. They're doing a good job about that, I mean, he's in a good position. But I don't even think he's going to fight Caleb Plant because Caleb Plant moves a lot, He will have problems with Caleb Plant, His knees, Canelo's knees are not 100%. I don't think he wants to chase Caleb Plant, So I even bet a fight with David will be even more interesting because David's going to come to Canelo, That's going to be a war right there too, So at the end of the day, those are the fights that Canelo's looking for. Somebody that comes to him, somebody that's going to run away from him,
Yeah, so right now, I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys have been paying a lot of attention to how PBC is promoting Caleb Plant. He was on the commercials during the football game. He was put on Fox and Friends today early in the morning. And then you got another up-and-coming young star, Berlanga. What is your thoughts about those two guys on their come up? I mean, well, first off, let me ask you about Berlanga. He's a prospect, big puncher, a lot of hype behind him. Any interest, and what are your thoughts about possibly making that happen?
Oh, man, that's another prospect, that's very talented. He has everything to be a world champion. He's a good fighter, man. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing. He has an impressive record. But I believe that once he starts fighting those gatekeepers, the guys that have the experience, the knockouts are going to go away little by little, and hopefully he can little by little get more seasoned and get better. But if he stays focused and he has a great team behind him, I think he could become a world champion too. So he's a good fighter, man. And he wants to take that chance and fight David, like he says. He will be making a big mistake, but we'll definitely take that fight. But I think he's in the right path right now. Keep working hard and then get a little bit more experience, and that fight could happen later on also, But if he wants to do it now, we could definitely do that now.
Absolutely, man. I would love to see that happen, But going back with Caleb Plant, the way they're pushing him and stuff, does that, I mean, that's got to kind of get underneath your guys' skin a little bit, right? Because they're pushing him as they label him as the next superstar in boxing.
That to me, I know what I have and I know what Caleb Plant is. That does not impress me at all. And, they're doing a good job. They're promoting them. They're doing everything, that they have to do to build that fighter, that next superstar. I don't think he has potential to be a superstar on pound for pound fighter, but keep building them. Keep building them. Whatever they do with other fighters, that's not my problem. It doesn't get under my skin. We're happy with what we're doing and what we're, our like publicity or whatever. We're just more focused on training and beating all these guys, and hopefully they build them right so we can go kick his ass and get all that people that they're promoting to.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. Any final thoughts, bro? I mean, anything you can let the fans know that they don't know about you guys? Like, well, actually, you know what, Jose, your son, Junior, we were talking about him last week, and a lot of fans were asking about what's his situation. Is he going to return? What's going on with him?
Yeah, you know what? He was supposed to be here a week ago, but right now, he has a little baby, so he just wants to make sure they're situated right and they're good. So anytime now, we're expecting him to come. We got big news coming, so you're gonna see him pretty soon. He's very motivated too with a little girl also, and he's more mature. And I think he's only 20 years old, and he took a couple of years off, and I think that's gonna be to his benefit, so he can let his body heal. But we got big news coming soon.
Absolutely, man. I can't wait for that. I've always liked your son, Jose, man. I've always thought he was a very
Thank you.
talented fighter,
Thank you.
You think we could take a quick preview of what your son is doing right now in the training camp?
Yeah, and then you're going to see him. Look, he's on weight. Everything's going well. With their body, a little peak, man. For with people that said that he can't do 168 no more, we're ready, man. We're ready to go.
No, he looks ready, man. And those punches sound hella loud the way he's hitting that. We know he's a vicious puncher, bro. That's for sure, man. All right, Jose. Well, thanks again, man, for coming on. I really appreciate it, brother. Can't wait to get you guys back on here on Leaving the Ring.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, bye.
You take care. Well, there you go. How come I have this one up and not the other one? Anyways, all right, guys. Well, there you go with Jose Benavidez Sr. I hope everybody enjoyed that interview. Hopefully, I try to attack as much as we could. I don't know if you guys were seeing that we had some internet. Well, they were having some internet problems because of the fact that they are, they were in Big Bear, But I hope it all came through, and I hope everybody was able to kind of tune in. Amilcar was trying to get on, but it was just I don't know, something was going on as well. He's actually on the road, man, and I decided to. I was trying to get Jose on earlier, but the time frame of us when we do 5 o'clock wouldn't work for them because, as you could see, they were in training camp, and. If you guys came on late and you weren't able to ask them any questions, don't worry, we'll get them back on. We'll definitely try to get David as well, because he actually was like, oh, you want David on, but he's training, and I was like, well, let me just get you on right now. We can do that. And then hopefully get him back on the show, man, But I like a lot of things that he was saying. What's crazy is it's very difficult, especially when you're a father and trainer, to be the trainer and the father. And I'm glad that he said that. He was like, look, I do my best. I'm very strict. I'm really disciplined. I discipline them a lot, but they got to grow. And you know what? Being a father myself and having young men, there's so much truth to that, because if you got little ones, I did ask Amilcar, would you try calling back in, Amilcar, so we can get you back on here. But if you have little ones, the little ones are always gonna, they're gonna listen to you because they don't know any better. But when they start getting older and they get into those teenage years, you should know. If you're a teenager now, you already know. You know everything. You know the whole world. Nobody can tell you any different because you're Mr. Know-It-All, right? But when you have teenagers, right, and even though you raise them since they were little. I raised my kids, my sons, since they were babies, okay? I've been around with them forever. As a father's supposed to do, okay? You don't get rewards, because that's what you're supposed to do. But then they hit that age where they start making their own decisions. They start hanging out with their own little friends. They have their own little circle. And they start making their judgment. It's really difficult as a father sometimes to try to keep them on the right track. So when Jose was saying about David, about the outside troubles, that kind of hit home because I understood where he was coming from, saying that he's got to basically fall. I got to allow my son to make these mistakes, not making weight, the outside troubles like the coke and everything else. He had to let that so we can reel him back in. And hopefully, David Benavidez realizes that because of his actions, they're at where they're at, but what I did like about his dad, what he was saying, who does train him and manage him, is saying, look, Charlo, he brought up Charlo before we could even bring it up, right? And he was like, you know what? I would want that fight right away, let's make that fight. Here's another thing that I liked about what he said. When he said immediately, I was like, oh, cool. But does a title have to be on the line? And he was like, no. The money will come. And that's the problem with a lot of fighters nowadays, G-Funky has the Hispanic Causing Panic on Wednesday, and he had a gentleman come on, Brotherhood, right, and was pounding at the table. The frustration from the Charlo fans were like, he needs his time. He should get it. He deserves his time for a big payday. And the word deserve in boxing honestly should not exist. That's not the way it works. Unfortunately, it's not the way it works. Jose speaking about that kind of solidifies what I mean by that. By, hey, look, take the fights that are there, take the fights that the fans want, and then money will come. Because you're actually building up that credibility, Instead of saying, well, Charlo not right now. If he moves up to 168, who is he fought? They're like, yeah, let's take it. Berlanga, let's take it. Let's whoever. But they're also being realistic, understanding that Canelo, it's far from their grasp at this moment because there's nothing they bring to the table. G-Fung, I don't want to hear that Charlo is avoided talk anymore, unfortunately. Unfortunately, it's always going to be there, my man, with every fighter. But, like the throwback guys that are still bringing that mentality. And I'm glad that Jose, who's the trainer and manager, is instilling that in his fighter, David Benavidez, like by telling them this is what we got to do. But you just got to keep them on the right track, meaning make weight, stay away from the outside distractions, and keep gunning for it. Caleb Plant and them are obviously on a different track themselves. They probably want David Benavidez, but it's got to be for the right amount of money. Don't forget, guys, this is prize fighting. When people bring up like Sean Porter, why did Sean Porter get these fights? Sean Porter fought and cornered these champions to get these fights. It wasn't given to him. It wasn't one of those things that I deserve this. He made it happen as a fighter, which you're supposed to do in the ring. So I really, really do enjoy that mentality right there, man. Let's see here what some of you guys are saying. Look, James S. is saying, Plant ducking David, like call support. We're going to try to get Caleb Plant back on. Right now he's got that fight coming up. But you got to admit, PBC is doing a great job in promoting him, getting him up there, because the more eyes that are going to be put on Caleb Plant, the more they can convince the mass that he is a superstar, he's something special, which he is. You got to admit, he's one of the best 168 title holders out there, right? And then Caleb Plant saying, look, I'm trying to get my mandatories out of the way. Caleb Truax wasn't mandatory. Let's get him out of the way so then we could seek further to the unification fight, which he's hoping to get with Canelo Alvarez, right? You know, Canelo Alvarez has already got a fight scheduled for February, and he's looking to get his fight set up with BJ Saunders. So we don't know. Caleb may get that fight maybe late this year or early next year. But the way they're pushing him is because they're looking for that dollar amount. Look at how they're doing it. It's very strategically how they're doing this. This is what a promoter is supposed to do. It's supposed to promote their fighter. Get as many eyes they can. They see this is the biggest fight out there at 168. Caleb Plant versus Canelo Alvarez. Where the dark horses, like David Benavidez, you got Berlanga, those guys are right behind him. And if Charlo steps into this 168 pool of sharks, God, it even gets the water even murkier. Where you want to watch these guys just go at it, right? Here's the thing. Like Jesus put here, look, Plant is not a superstar, only hype. Well, time would only tell. Time is only going to tell. But I tell you what, PBC is the promoter to Caleb Plant, David Benavidez, and Charlo's. Who are they investing more money in right now? Caleb Plant. He's got a title, okay? They're not really pushing the Charlo middleweight, which would be facing like Andrade. Why is there no talks about Gennady Golovkin? They're not doing any of that. They're using an all-American boy. Let's be honest about it. Caleb Plant has that clean white boy look, okay? And they see, hey, there's dollar signs here. Why? Because, pushing the race card, it moves the needle. It empties out pockets, okay? So if you have one Mexican guy, a Mexican superstar facing an American, which a lot of American, fans, they're always in the hopes of getting that, right? You could call it a great white hope, whatever you want to call it. They want to be able to cling on. I mean, that's why the UFC kind of blew up so quick, right? A lot of these guys needed something to relate to. Now, Caleb Plant not only can they relate to it, but he's got a great story. He's got a good look. He does got a mouthpiece. You got to admit that. He does have a mouthpiece. He's got underneath the skin of David Benavidez, Jose Benavidez Sr. and Jr., right? So that's where their money's going, and I understand that's how they're marketing. Remember when they first were approached by Canelo camp, they were like, no, we need more time. The money wasn't right. There was, we had Caleb Plant after those remarks, and he spoke his truth of how he felt. Well, I think what they're doing is they're prepping them up, getting them ready so that when negotiating tables open up again and they're sitting across from each other, they can now say, look at our numbers. Look what we brought to the table. And, they want some negotiating power because at the moment, let's be honest, Canelo Alvarez could go fight anybody at this moment. Some will call it cherry picking, some will call it ducking, but Canelo is at a position, not of the line of people he's fought, but he's in a position because he's a superstar. He has a country behind him to decide which direction he's going to go. And David is the real deal. David is the real deal. David was actually kind of like an urban legend, but a living legend in terms of the gyms, going to each gym. I mean, going to the Garcia's gym when Kelly Patrick was over there, going to the Wild Card. Everybody had high hopes on David, and it's coming along. You're seeing that development. You're seeing that this kid's got pretty much the package. Now he's just got to stay on that right track. He's got to stay there in order to continue on with his career, man. So really quick, what are my thoughts about Charlo moving up to 168? I would love it. I think anybody would love it. There's no denying that at all. There is no denying that at all, that anybody would love to see Charlo move up. But my question is that if your promoter's not doing much for you at 160 right now, meaning getting those other fights with those other available champions and trying to unify that 160 title, and you're chasing, and I don't know if it's chasing Canelo, that would only be the reason why he's moving up to 168, or maybe Al Heyman told him, you'll get first dibs with Caleb Plant. I just don't see that happening because of the way they're promoting Caleb Plant. Like I just mentioned earlier, look at the investment they're doing, okay? If Charlo, okay, let's play promoter here for a moment, okay? if I was Charlo's management, forget the promotional group, forget Al Heyman, but if I was in Charlo's team, I'd be like, look, if we want negotiating power to get Caleb Plant or to even get Canelo Alvarez, if they even unified it, to make this even a bigger fight and to get the money that they're chasing, because let's be honest, they're chasing not the fighter, they're chasing the dollar, okay? I would say we need to unify. We need to put pressure on Al and PBC to get us these other titles. We need to get a fight with Triple G, okay? And why I say Triple G is because if you can knock out Triple G, it only sells it even more, where people will even want. Now you got the Canelo fans in hand of saying we want to see Charlo, because what did Charlo do? If he could stop Triple G, which, yeah, you could say Triple G is like over the hill and stuff, but he would do something that Canelo could not do. If he stopped Triple G, he did something Canelo couldn't do in 2 fights, right? Forget the other stuff, that Triple G looks old, he looks slow. It's that none of that matters, because at the end of the day, the way you put KO reels and sell a fight is you just put on the little short highlights of it, and that's what fans are going to buy the most. Am I right? How many highlights did they put of Amir Khan by Canelo knocking out Amir Khan? If you're a hardcore boxing fan, you know that fight didn't mean anything. That fight shouldn't have happened. Stopping Josecito Lopez didn't mean much. That shouldn't have happened, right? So that to me, then you unify at 160 for Charlo, okay? For Jamal Charlo. You take that, and now you got some leverage there, because now it's the unified middleweight champion of the world is challenging either, I don't know, eventually if it's unified, if Caleb Plant and Canelo get to that point, because you could never know, BJ Saunders could interrupt that, beat Canelo, but whoever's the unified champion at that division, now you got something even meatier. The unified champion at 160 versus the unified champion at 168. I just don't understand why leave a division with unfinished business if you're not even getting the fights that you're asking for at 160. What makes you think you're going to get them at 168? I'm pretty sure, like Jose Benavidez Sr. just said right now, we're open to that. We already made calls. We already called about that, which means he called the promoter, who they're underneath the same banner. So let's see if that happens. I'll tell you right now, is it a good fight between Charlo versus Benavidez? Absolutely. If he gets up to 168, takes on that fight with David Benavidez, that's a mega fight. That's a big fight for us hardcore boxing fans, right? And that actually puts a lot of clout if he can beat David Benavidez. Because David Benavidez has kind of been like the most devoted guy at 168. And he's actually been the guy he's like, everybody else seems to be holding the crown for David Benavidez, if you really think about it. That's the talks, Rodriguez says, to get Canelo in a fight, one must bring something true legacy value onto the table, bouts or the name of both. Yeah. Yeah, man. Chicano Prophet, Jamal is going to be given a get to his feet wet, weak opponent when he moves up. I don't doubt that at all, Chicano. I do not doubt that at all, man. Let me bring on my partner here with me. We talk some boxing here on Leaving the Ring. What's up, compadre? ¿Qué onda?
I literally just got back in. I was going to actually show you a little button they gave me. Forget vaccinated. I left that shit in the front room.
Right on, man. Did you scream? Did you scream out loud before? And the lady's like, "Look, I'm putting alcohol on your arm, man. Relax."
Nah, she told me to just look away. I don't even have a problem with shots, to be honest.
Oh, I'm such a big. I'm Manny Pacquiao, bro. I ain't afraid of needles. I just can't do it. I mean, I have to. You got to do your blood tests and stuff like that.
You don't like needles, but you got a lot of tats?
I don't got any tats. I don't, man. My tattoos are inside, vato. My tattoos are inside.
The whole time. What up, chat? How's everybody doing? James S. GGG, the gatekeeper. Yeah, he kind of is the gatekeeper now, except he doesn't even want to allow people to get to the gates.
No.
Unless they're Steve Rolls.
D-Style.
Yeah, that's a good one, bro. I literally ran up, took the elevator back into my building or back up to my floor, ran into the apartment, and got right back to the Leave It in the Ring New York studios.
Definitely, man. I was just reading the text here. We got a good show coming up on Monday. You know, like I said, I had some free time. I was trying to get Jose, but because our time conflicts with their training, I was like, damn, okay, let's just do it. You know what I mean? I had some free time. I was over here outside fixing my fence. I had one of my trees fell over. And, but yeah, man, we definitely wanted to do that. Hey, let me ask you, Amilcar, since I got you on here, okay? What are your thoughts about Jermall Charlo skipping out of the 160 division without making, honestly, a big statement there? Was actually starting to gear up there. I mean, I thought he was getting a good run.
Has he said he's doing that?
That's what the talks are. That he might be jumping up to 168.
I don't like that. I don't like that. You know, historically, middleweight along with welterweight, light heavyweight, lightweight, and heavyweight are not in that order, obviously, but those are the glamour divisions of the sport, right? You could throw in 26 there too. 168 is big right now because of Canelo. Historically, it has not been the glamour division that the middleweight division is. And I think Charlo's got the skills, the talent, and the mentality to clean out 160.
You think it might just be frustration for this kid going, look, I'm not getting anywhere at 160. The cash cow was moved up. It looks like he's going to stay up there. I'm not going to get, Gennady Golovkin. He's probably not going to get Demetrius Andres. And he's like, there's nothing here left for me to do. But I still don't think that there's – I mean, we don't know exactly what they're talking about.
Fight is a gettable fight if he really wants it. Triple G's another story. Triple G's, honestly, someone's just going to have to explain to me what Triple G's doing. If I was playing promoter with him, I don't know what I'd be saying, to be honest with you, because I don't think at this point in his career that he'd be very competitive with either Charlo or Andrade. And I'll be honest, he was ducking Billy Joe Saunders. He straight up was. Like, they asked him about Billy Joe, and he started to laugh, and he refused to answer the question. And the next thing you know, he's fighting Steve Rolls, because I guess Steve Rolls is a bigger name than Billy Joe Saunders.
Oh, I know. That's so crazy, But, I did say this. If he did jump to 168, and, we just had Jose Sr. on, and he was like, we like that fight. We want that fight. And I've already called, our promoter about making that fight happen if he makes the jump to 168, 8 pounds up, And I'm like, well, then you got to kind of forgive him because he's actually going to the mouth of the lion of the division. If Charlo was like, okay, I'm making the jump to 168, I mean, that's pretty forgiven, I think, if he gets in there with David Benavidez.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're looking at I'm looking at something D-Style just said. It's absolutely true. 140 and 154 are not the original divisions. Original divisions were featherweight, lightweight, welterweight, middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight. These other divisions were added in later on, and you could say it was for safety. You could say it was to kind of add in more championship belts, but
originally it was for safety. It was, guys cutting weight. You were getting more brain damage and whatnot, more damage to the body. So they were making that decision to fit in these other weights in there. But, obviously there's got to be money to play with that as well, Yeah,
so he's going up to a division that, apart from Roy Jones and James Toney, has always been a kind of a European division. It's changed, obviously, now with Canelo winning the title and doing this thing there, and obviously Plant. But, I was listening to Uber on the way home, and you were talking about Plant and kind of the push he's getting. In the chat, I was mentioning the fact that, I watch Undisputed, kind of. I don't really watch it for the sports analysis. I mostly watch it because I find Skip and Shannon pretty entertaining. Mm-hmm. Just listen to me talking about anything, I'll laugh about it. And yeah, they've been doing plant promos all week.
Yeah, he was on Friends and Fox today in the morning.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, and let me ask everybody here that's online with us and everybody listening on demand, does what Teofimo Lopez get from Top Rank anywhere come near to this? Because to me, the answer is unequivocally no, it doesn't. I mean, I was getting into a debate with a guy who posted a comment on my channel related to a thing I posted yesterday about Teofimo not getting a push by Top Rank, and this guy invited him to debate me. He was also saying that Top Rank did everything they could for Rigo. I'm like, okay. Anyways, I don't see them doing this for Teofimo. I don't see him on First Take with Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith, let alone doing Sports Center promos, let alone on Good Morning America. Because guess what? The equivalent of Fox and Friends is Good Morning America, isn't it? Doesn't ESPN belong to the same network of families as ABC? She should be up there with Michael Stratham and everybody else talking about how he's the undisputed lightweight champ of the world. Again, that's a classical premier glamour division in boxing.
Yeah. But that goes off of image. It's all about image. And we talked about this on Monday. Teofimo Lopez should be pushed as, or should we market to the hip hop audience? He's got that look. He comes across. You could, these kids can relate to him. Caleb Plant is pretty much the dream package of a boy band without the rest of the band involved. Okay, that's
the Marky Mark of the 168-pound division. Or do you see him more as one of the Backstreet Boys?
I see him. Ask me the question again. I'm sorry. What was it now? What do I see him as?
You said he's equivalent of a boy band, so I asked you if he's equivalent of Marky Mark or the Backstreet Boys.
Yes.
Marky Mark is a little bit more thugged out. So.
Well, they took a promo picture. I know that, but they took a promo picture of Caleb Plant leaning on a lowrider. So they're trying to keep him urban, but at the same time, I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to build up an all-American boy, okay? And that sells, no matter what. That sells. That sells here in the States a whole lot. He can't come across. He's not going to get the Mexican audience. He's not going to get Asian audience. It's going to really be hard for the black audience to embrace this guy. So they're going to go that route. And I think it's a genius move. It shows you that Al Heyman is just not stuck. As he's accused of he only promotes you if you're a black fighter and all that. That just shows that's not true at all. Not true. Yeah.
I'm going to keep it real. And I didn't go into this enough on the last episode of Live at 5. By the way, this is a special edition of Live at 5, Leave It in the Ring.
There you go.
And thanks for leading it. But yeah, look, say what you will about Heyman. He promotes everybody or manages everybody. We got to be careful about the Ali Act, right, Dave? Yes, he does a great job managing everybody. And he typically does not promote people along ethnic lines. Now, I've said this week about Errol Spence. Yes, Errol Spence, flies his own little Jamaican flags and has his own little patch with the Jamaican flag, but they don't promote him as a Jamaican fighter, and they don't promote their fighters along whether they're a Mexican or Puerto Rican or in this case, Caleb Plant case, WASP American. You know what I mean? They just promote them as the fighters. Top Rank does not do that. Top Rank taps into your ancestral background, your national background, and if you do well at that, hey, guess what? It works for you. And if you don't, you don't. Look, every Puerto Rican they promoted as Puerto Rican. Every Filipino they promoted as Filipino. Every Mexican they promoted as Mexican. And they've gone as far as to create like these battles. You remember those pay-per-views back in the day?
The Philippines versus Mexico?
Filipino versus Mexico and Pinoy Power and all of this stuff. I don't think of it. The PBC does not do that.
Right. No, it doesn't. What the PBC is trying to do is market the fighter. That's what they're inserting, is the fighter is what they're trying to do. Now, though the PBC has not created a superstar yet, Let's be honest. They haven't got across. Caleb Plant may be the first guy that you're trying to push as the superstar. Look at the key words they're saying. The next superstar.
I think the biggest star that they've made was probably Deontay Wilder, and he started early on with Golden Boy, right? I mean,
well, he was a Golden Boy and Lou DiBella. Then now he's completely with PBC. But even with Deontay Wilder, honestly, they didn't do much with him. You know, Deontay pretty much promoted himself.
Yeah.
I don't see the backing. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Somebody can point this out to me, but I did not see the backing that I'm seeing with Caleb Plant. And I think it's genius that they're taking advantage of what they got here.
I'm looking at D-Style. D-Style always makes me laugh. He goes, country boy will survive. I think he's talking about Plant. Then he says, Plant just isn't the country boy guy. He ain't a yeehaw guy. Well, that's probably true. You know, he definitely isn't presenting himself as that.
No.
Look, if Caleb was signed to Top Rank, they'd have been coming out with a piece of hay in his mouth on the back of a horse.
He would have a Subway commercial already.
Yeah, he'd have like all leather outfits. He'd be in cowboy boots, cowboy hat. They'd get one of these country guys that do like his entrance. That's how Top Rank promotes their fighters. You know, they probably, whatever celebration takes place at the Grand Ole Opry in Tennessee, they'd have them fighting on that date, on that weekend. Trust that.
Absolutely. You know, here's the thing that PBC's got Caleb Plant. They also have David Benavidez. I'd like to see them put a little bit more with David Benavidez, but I think they may be a little hesitant because of the weight, because of the outside problems. They're probably looking at, let's see how he looks stepping back in, which he's supposed to step back in March 12th, right? Why? Because they've dealt with this before. Let's not forget, they had Kristen Nightmare Oriella, who was always up and down. He was a roller coaster. You know, they knew they could make a lot of money with Kristen Nightmare if they had to win a heavyweight title. They wanted him to be the first Mexican heavyweight champion of the world at the time. Look how many opportunities Chris was given, but just couldn't hit that pinnacle, couldn't grab it. It was right there across the table, and he just couldn't grasp it and stuff because of the discipline part of his career. David Benavidez, I'm wondering if they're saying sit back going, let's see. We got to see. You know, before we push forward, Caleb Plant has not.
Like the way Benavidez comes out. He comes out to the red flags. That's gangster. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
He's not draping himself in any kind of like patriotism or false nationalism. He's repping himself. He's repping what he's trying to do. And guess what? Visually, it's super appealing when you see him coming out with all those flags and everyone's in red. I don't know what you think, Dave. I like that.
I like it. Yeah. The bandit. I like it, you know. I mean, look. Stepping away from that there a bit, we're talking about a kid by the name of Ryan Garcia that is a genius as well in how to promote himself, you know. And, let me see. Where's that comment at right now? Right, what Andre just put, he said, look, apart from Canelo and AJ, I don't see many superstars today. There are a few that are walking to that status, but there are two are the only ones. One can say that they are superstars. You're absolutely right. Look, Canelo he was on 2 channels alone in Mexico, so he had a lot of eyes on him. So he had a country to back him up when he came here to the States, okay? He's putting on the best fights available that he can get a hold of. He's doing his part in that, okay? Was he suspect in the beginning? Absolutely. He was big time suspect. I was like, I remember doing a show and I was like, are these guys the savior of Mexican boxing? Oh my God, we're in trouble. When I'm talking about Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and Canelo Alvarez at the time. But I think he's proven who he is and where he's at, and that's why he's got a whole nation behind him. AJ is an Olympian. He also has a nation behind him. These other fighters like Ryan Garcia, they don't have those gold medals. And they don't have a nation. No matter what, he's Mexican-American. He's really not going to get the Mexican fans to fully adopt him. He's got to do something else. So what does the kid do? Well, he gets on social media, something that they have a more understanding than us old folks like myself, okay? And he took advantage of it. Now this kid is now causing so much controversy. He's like in every news outlet. He was on Stephen A's new show, Stephen A's World. And he said something that made an uproar. He talked about the belts here at Amilcar. I don't know if you saw that. He said the belts don't matter.
Well, that's what's crazy.
They just look good on me.
ESPN, I mean, that's actually crazy what you said because Stephen A. Smith is an ESPN personality, right?
Right.
And Ryan Garcia is on ESPN talking to him, but like Teo's not on there.
Right. But that just tells you that fighters need to learn how to market themselves, you know,
or with better promoters that don't rely on ethnic weekends to sell fights.
But you got to admit, though, who's more interesting to interview, Ryan Garcia or Teofimo Lopez Jr.?
I'd probably say Ryan Garcia.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, he's a self-promoter, and the greatest fighters have been self-promoters. I mean, a lot of the great fighters have been self-promoters. Obviously, there are plenty that aren't, but Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali, Hector Macho Camacho, De La Hoya, even Bernard Hopkins. He was managing himself and pretty much finding fight-by-fight deals with promoters.
Hey, he had to sue Lou DiBella to get out of his contract.
Yep.
Chicano Prophet put, I went to the Oriela and Klitschko, thought I might watch history. Not even close. I was there too. I was actually covering the event. But I knew that I knew he wasn't going to win that fight. Dr. Klitschko was just too much. He was reigning the division for a reason. And but yeah, going back again. So, anyways, going back with the whole marketing, this is what these fighters got to tap into, because Top Rank has promoted guys to superstardom. Oscar De La Hoya alone wouldn't have done it by himself. There's just no way. Oscar's personality was very cringy, okay? Even though Ryan Garcia's personality is kind of cringy, but he says shit that makes you go like, what the effing are you got, blah, blah, blah. This whole bout thing, I actually really like what he said about the whole bout. Bouts don't matter here, Amilcar. I don't know if you heard that, but he was like, look, the bouts don't matter anything. I'm trying to make the best fights. I'm trying to do what the people want me to do, which isn't really true. He's just putting a lot of words out there. A lot of smoke and mirrors, in my opinion. So pretty much he was trying to justify the reason why he wanted an exhibition with Manny Pacquiao by stating bouts don't matter. The big fights do.
He's kind of right about that.
That's what I'm saying. He is kind of right about it.
It's like the organic tab you see placed on like food products. The people who care, they give a shit about the fact that it says organic on top of a box of cereal. But guess what? The most people don't really give a shit. They just want to eat whatever's cheapest and whatever tastes the best. And that's Ryan Garcia. He's out to be popular. He's not really looking for certification from sanctioning bodies. To be honest, he doesn't really need it. And I was saying the same thing about Fury and the same thing about Joshua. They don't really need that at this stage in their career.
Look at Joe Lopez says, Teo was on Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson yesterday. Well, I got to check that out. Here's the thing, too.
I saw that, too. I did see some of it. What up, Raw Boxing?
Is the fact that he was saying, Ryan Garcia had said something about the unified champion at 140. Who is the unified? We all know who is the unified champion in that division. That's Teofimo Lopez. There is no denying that. The kid worked his way up to the top of the hill, and he has earned, not deserved, he's earned that right to now pick and choose who he wants to fight next in his title defense. Okay, but it's Ryan Garcia's job to pick at him. Pick at the ego of Teofimo Lopez to hopefully get that fight. But where Ryan Garcia is gearing off to is really, if I might be wrong I might be way off about this here, Amilcar, but I think he's picking the Mikey Garcia route, which is try to get as much money as I can before I end my career.
Yeah, and I can't really blame him. Maybe he's seeing bigger things for himself beyond boxing. Maybe that's why he wants to pick up, a fight with Pacquiao along the way and make a big event. He might be a guy that wants to make the big events as much as win titles and do the kind of thing that Floyd and Manny did in terms of jumping through the weight class and winning all these belts.
Absolutely, man. What goes into that subject about the boxing business, which I got to recommend G Funky's show last night, man. I was able to listen to the entirety while I was trying to fix my fence and figure out what I was going to do with this fallen tree that fell on my fence. And there was a lot. I mean, it was a good topic, about the word deserve. And one of his listeners came on and was respectively debating with G-Funk and D-Style. Punch Drunk, I think his name is. Sorry about that. And then I think Chicano Prophet was on there. And then somebody else was on there as well. And it's almost like the art of, in my opinion, there's a few things that have been lost in boxing. One is the word contender. Nobody really talks about contenders anymore. We talk about champions because there are so many belts out there. It's like Skittles, in my opinion. And then we forget that this is prize fighting. Then the word deserved, which should never be inserted in any boxing conversation. Okay, it's earn that shot. And the boxing business doesn't care about you deserving the shot. The boxing business cares about you earning it because that's the way they're going to market it and that's how they're going to make their money. Let's not forget, boxing is a business first before it's a sport. That is very clear. They don't hide that from any of us. There's no curtain. You're not going to open up the curtain and go like, oh shit, I didn't know this. I didn't know that the wheel was spun. There wasn't a hamster spinning the wheel, that it was dollar signs spinning that wheel, So that was a really great conversation that they were having, how some fans are still stuck on deserve. Hate to say it, guys.
Well, I forget who said it. It's not what you deserve, it's what you negotiate.
Absolutely.
Especially in a professional sport that's a professional, honestly, business where fighters are essentially independent contractors working a job at a time. They're not in a league. They're not part of a sports team, right? They're not part of an Olympic program fighting for their country unless they're amateurs. The pro game is its own animal, man. So yeah, it's not like you've qualified for Wimbledon and then you've got a fair way to the championship and you win it like in a tennis tournament. Nah, right. You got to be managed. You got to be promoted. The matchmaking's got to be right. You got to be at the right spot at the right time and have the right people behind you. I can't think of another sport that's anywhere like it.
Exactly. Exactly. It's who in the business, unfortunately they get you ahead in the game. You can't blame the fighter that's got the right people behind them to push them, that believe in them. It's just like the music business, to tell you the truth. You could be the shittiest singer, but if you got the right guys behind you, the right producers, right record label, they're the ones that are going to put you up front first, Look, Caleb Plant, that's a perfect example. Is he the biggest puncher? Is he the most exciting guy at the 168 division? Why is he being marketed as a superstar? David Benavidez should be the next superstar, the biggest puncher, but he lost his title on the scale, right? But that's not the way boxing, you would think that David Benavidez would be promoted as the next superstar that has some problems. And, the audience that tune in are going to relate to him because America has a lot of problems. The citizens of the states.
Almost like Johnny Tapia.
Yeah. You would think that, right? That they would promote it that way. But, they got to go with what they think is going to move their fighters in a certain way to get these bigger fights. And the reason why Caleb is being invested in is because he has a title. Plain and simple. It's not because he deserved it. He earned it. Same thing with Canelo Alvarez. He's getting these fights, The Yurman fight, nobody likes it. Nobody likes it, but he didn't deserve to pick who he wanted. He earned it. Plain and simple. He's the machine that's moving everything at the moment. He's the cash cow. Same thing with Anthony Joshua. He didn't have to fight Tyson Fury. But there's so much money involved. He's like, yo, let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Wow. Yeah, it's tough. I was actually looking at Johnny Tapia's career while you were talking, David. 66-59 with 30 KOs, 5 losses, and 2 draws. They don't make them like that anymore.
Oh, absolutely not. Think about this. Agent Broner's making a comeback. Okay? We're talking about getting in with undefeated Santiago. He's looking, I believe, what is it, March? No, is it February? I got it here on the ticker here coming across. I can't remember the date. Read it there. We talk about, like Andres put out there. He put up there. What's up, Outlaw? How you doing, brother? Sometimes the right guys are behind the right guy. Look at Adrian Broner. This guy's career should have been gone and done and over with. You know what I'm saying? But he's not. It's not. He's still got the right people backing him up.
And he also has a fan base because he's very skillfully used social media, much in the way that Ryan Garcia has, not necessarily to the extent, but he's got a big social media following, and he's got a lot of people that are big fans of his, including Kenny, who used to be on the show with us. He's a huge Adrian Broner fan.
Absolutely. What's up there, Philly? How you doing, brother? No sweetness.
So I'm going to let you take over, though, Dave, because I've got to get to dinner and a couple things before I hop on later with
you don't want to comment about really quick about Danny Dubois' comeback here? His return is looking at, it's going to be gearing out for. Back? Yeah, they're saying that he wants to come back in April or May. That's what he's hoping to do, is come back.
Well, I'd like to see him back. The question is, how do you bring him back?
True.
You bring him back slow, or do you kind of get him right back up in there?
I think you have to bring him back slow. Let's be honest here. He took a beating.
I agree. So I'd be very interested to see who his opponent is going to be.
Right.
There are a couple guys coming up there in the UK heavyweight ranks that are not quite at the level that he just kind of left. So there's a Adebale guy, David Adebale, I think is his name. He's pretty good. He's fighting under Queensbury, and then there's the heavyweight that Dillian White is promoting. I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, but he had that big KO win in his last fight on the Dillian White undercard when he got knocked out by Pavek. There's a few guys out there, but I think they got to bring him back against somebody with a name. I don't really want to see him against someone that no one's ever heard of.
Well, the good thing about Dubois, though, is that they were building him into a name. So I don't think it's going to hurt him that much if he doesn't come back and fight somebody with that kind of credibility that you're asking for. That's my opinion, though. I mean, you never know. I understand where you're coming from, though. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm playing promoter a little bit there, Dave, because I think that if you kind of take him all the way off the radar, it's going to be kind of difficult to bring him close to where he just was.
How old is he?
That's the thing. He's pretty young. He's like 23.
So that's why I would say I would
rebuild from the ground floor up is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, because he's young, and then honestly, he probably hasn't even hit his peak yet.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't adjust very well to Joe Joyce off of a jab. He couldn't adjust to that jab. Couldn't avoid that jab. I think that they need to do is go right back to that drawing board. And not just I got
a good name for you. I got a good name.
Go ahead.
David Price.
David Price, yeah.
He's got a big name. He's vulnerable. He's susceptible to being knocked out. That's the kind of name I'd like to see him against. The fighter whose name escaped me earlier was Fabio Wardley.
Oh, yes.
Remember, he's actually coming along pretty well. Yeah. I'd stay clear of like a Derek Chisora, obviously, Huey Fury, keep him away from him. Yeah. Nathan Gorman, he already beat. Dave Allen, if Allen is still fighting. Maybe a Nick Webb, but
you know what they need to do is they got to put him in with somebody durable. No more getting guys that he's going to blow out. I get it. They got to, in the beginning, they had to do that to strike the interest to the fans for us to gravitate towards him, to want to watch him. But now this is a complete rebuild the foundation on Dubois because he took a beating. I think they need to get somebody that's durable, that's going to give him rounds, that it's going to allow him to work, allow him to get that ring generalship, that IQ in there that really is needed for him. He's still
What about Emmanuel Char or Trevor Bryant?
I wouldn't mind Emmanuel Char,
Yeah, I think that's a good one for him, especially if he's still holding on to that regular title.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
David, right.
Philly Irish Drew Evo says, I saw a heavyweight on the zone about a month ago. I think he's from Turkey. He was an amateur till he was 35 and became 3-0 in that show. Eddie Hearn promotes him. They said they want to fast track him to a title. Who was that? I vaguely remember what you're talking about.
I'm trying to think too.
There's also Herjavec too, but I wouldn't. He's not a big enough name, and he's kind of too dangerous, I think, right now for him. So
I think Andre's putting it out there right now. The guy's name.
Okay. Yeah, we got the hardcore heads on our channel, so
always do here.
I wouldn't expect anything less from our chat.
Well, here you go, guys, man. I hope you guys enjoyed that Jose Benavidez Sr. interview. Again, we'll be back on Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time here on Leave It in the Ring. Amilcar, are you still going to be doing the show?
Oh, yeah. So tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time, we've got the Leave It in the Ring roundtable, and D-Style's already sent me the list of topics. It's going to be pretty good. So tune into that if you can. And then tomorrow, Friday, all right, I haven't sent out the Twitter post about it, but I'll do that later. It's going to be an open line on the Leave It in the Ring live at 5. So kind of what we did here today, but open line. Any topics you guys want to discuss, it's going to be open up on Fridays for that. But I will be leading in with just the state of the heavyweight division in 2021. Ooh. And let's talk about how it compared to the heavyweight division in 2011, all right, in 2001, in 1991. Let's talk about it. You get the heavyweights are getting a lot of kind of hate from fans saying that the division's not that good. But is that just us in a moment and reminiscing a little bit about, you know, our adolescence and our childhood and what our parents told us about the heavyweight division back in the day? Or were the other eras really, really that much better than what we have now? So I'm going to kind of lead in with that, and I want to open it up to any topic. And that's going to be tomorrow, Friday, for the Leave It in the Ring live at 5 show. So I know it's kind of difficult for the people out there on the West Coast, but if you can pop up on Friday the 29th, 5 p.m. Eastern, that's what 2 p.m. your time, right out there on the West.
That's right, that's 2 p.m.
What I'll be talking about.
Yep. There you go right there, man. Okay, everybody, you guys have a great weekend. I'll talk to everybody soon here on Leave It in the Ring.
Sounds good, Dave.
Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros,